All right, I think we're live. I thank you all for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. As promised, I would come back to you with the commentary. I got a lot of paperwork all over the place, so y'all forgive me for a minute. Plus, my glasses seem to be working funny. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out to join the broadcast. If you would join the broadcast, I have a lot to cover. I want to cover it slowly, so I ask that you give me at least an hour. And the reason, by God's permission, that I do this is because when God gives me something and God gives everyone something, some of us have the courage to say it. Some of us are afraid to say it. Some of us don't understand what to say. I believe that we should take the time out to study and say what needs to be said. Now, when you talk like God gives me the ability to talk, you don't make a lot of friends. And I cut out a lot of things. I don't say everything. But I was telling someone the other day, I think we're partying too much. I said something is about to happen because we're partying too much. The gospel shows, there's a gospel show every week, just a lot of singing and moving, partying. Uh Southern soul music or brown liquor music every weekend, Tucker, uh all parties, even funerals and memorials have turned into a party. The church has turned into a Holy Ghost party. The thing about God and parties, truth and parties, the wise and parties, the thing about that is everybody is not partying. Somebody is preparing. But the moment we get out of a difficult situation, we go right back to doing what we were doing before we got into the difficult situation. So today I want to talk about the handwriting on the wall because it's very clear what's about to happen. I am no prophet or no messenger. I am a conduit of God's knowledge. I've always wanted it. I've always tried to tap into the universal law of God, and God gives me pieces of things and I have to put the rest together and wait. And in the process of waiting, I'm waiting to find out rather what I'm saying is right or rather it's personal. That's why I don't know how a person can preach every Sunday, because it has to just be personal at some point. Nothing of value, just entertainment. So we're going to talk today about the handwriting on the wall, and then, God willing, my conscience will be clear of it. Not my conscience, but the blood will be off of my hands. We're broadcasting live on Instagram. We're broadcasting live on 3 different platforms on Facebook: Jamil Salib Zamir, the 19 Report, and the Music Man. We're broadcasting live on Linked. We're also on my YouTube channel and on Twitter. If you would like to donate, you can donate to my Cash App at the $ the 19 Report. Yes, I take donations. You can donate at PayPal, paypal.me/19 photographics. We're very busy doing a lot of things. So I want to get into this subject today about partying. And I'm going to come out of Daniel 5. So we're going into the Bible text today. But I'm going to take this book called Bible, by God's permission, and give me an hour. We're 4 minutes in. I'm going to take this book called Bible, and I'm going to show you some things that have already happened that will continue to happen until either we get the message or there's no one left to get the message. Now, I also have paperwork over here to my right. So I want to go directly into this right now. I want to read a little bit. Daniel 5, King James Version of the Bible. Then I'm going to come out of the Bible and go into news. Did y'all know that a big, huge cloud appeared over Chicago this weekend after a tornado hit? Was like a smoke cloud. Did you all know that during the 50s and 60s, apartment complexes, or what they call projects in Chicago, were experimented on, that they put chemicals in the This is documented under the Freedom of Information Act. They put chemicals in the night lights, the what do you call them? On the lights on the pole, to see how those chemicals would affect people in Chicago, in Detroit, and Pruitt-Igoe. They were blowing mosquito spray off the buildings and driving the predominantly black and poor occupants and residents of that project insane. Do you know in Chicago, the same project that was on Good Times and where the Candyman lived, Cabrini Green, were all experiments? See, while we're partying, someone is testing something. Do you know that they released the Tesla today, the new vehicle? The stock market is going teeter-tottering all over the place. The ugliest car you ever want to see, but they built that car for a reason. That ugly for a reason. Kanye West and all of them have some of those all-terrain vehicles. Let's go into the subject matter. Daniel 5, please pay attention. I find that a lot of people don't pay attention, and it's necessary. So we're going to go from Daniel's 5, 1 through the end of it, but we're going to stop here and there and point out some things, because people are just teaching Bible. Some are just teaching Bible verbatim. And they're trying to take your mind back to a time that was not the time that they're describing. They're describing all of these Caucasian people in the East, where it's hot. No sunscreen, no sun lotion. And they really believe that every prophet and messenger in the Bible was white. Every prophet and messenger in the Quran, white. Every prophet and messenger in the Hebrew books, white. Everything white. So that literally gives Caucasian people a pass. No matter how much they destroy, they get a pass. We do one thing wrong as a black man, and we can never live it down. Talking today, pay attention. The handwriting is on the wall. We're partying too much in church. It's just a good time. We're partying too much at these events, everything. At our Juneteenth event, I made it very clear at the beginning, this is not a party. This is an educational event. This is not an event of freedom. We're not free. But anytime God puts my hands in something, is a purpose of it for it. So let's go into Daniel. Then I'm going to read a lot of stuff. Then we're going to be done. Daniel's 5 and 1. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the thousands. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temples, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princesses, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Stop. Belshazzar is the son of Nebuchadnezzar. Let's say that Nebuchadnezzar was Hitler. And Hitler birthed a son who saw what Hitler did to the Jewish people and didn't say it was wrong, but after his father Hitler died, his son Nebuchadnezzar went right in his footsteps and started doing the same thing that his father did. This is what's being talked about in this book right now. And this is what is happening in our communities, because generation after generation of our children are seeing us act a donkey. There was a time in the black community when our parents would drink liquor. They would run us out of the room. This is not liquor. This is Pellegrino water. But they would drink it. And if we happened to come in the room, everybody would grab their liquor and hide it behind their backs. Now we're telling them, come here, baby, take a sip of this here, Hennessy here. Come here, baby, drink a little bit of this, smoke a little bit of this. The further we go down the line of sin, the worse the children will become as sinners. You ain't seen nothing yet. Manning, South Carolina hasn't calmed down. Murder and violence is still going on. They're just not reporting it because they don't want it in the paper. Someone sent me an article from Jacksonville, Florida, saying that 1 out of 10 people in Manning, South Carolina will either be robbed or a victim of a violent crime. 1 out of 10. I think Manning ranks number 5 or number 3. The handwriting is on the wall, but we are having such a good time. We just love to party, just party. I mean, I've seen some people, somebody dies a horrible death, and they have a party. Loud music, everything. Don't reflect on the death. Don't reflect on the loss. Don't reflect on how we can prevent it from happening again. Let's just party. And we're spending so much money as if though tomorrow it's promised. We're going to make some more money tomorrow. Don't save nothing. It's serious. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. Everything. Talking about it in the Bible, in the book of Daniel. Belshazzar saw what his father did. Father dies. Belshazzar having a party. Took all of the trinkets and the jewelry that they robbed from somebody. Hello, somebody. We rob people of their goods and services, and then we celebrate the robbery as if though there is no consequence. Oh, that sucker ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gotta do nothing. You have created a situation where the universe must answer you. Now, many of you think that you can't be touched, but you know who's going to touch you? Someone who knows you. That means that the person who will kill you is standing right next to you because they're going to get tired of your mess. Because God always allows the negative energy to create a force that will enter anyone who's willing. And you're going to begin to see the death of friends. It started already in Manning. Friends killing each other like it ain't nothing. Possessed. Belshazzar. We in Daniel 5 and 3 now. And I'm relating these things as I go along. Say, did you know that let me see if I can find this article. And I'm going to show it to you. I got something I want to show you. It might be in my writings. Let me look at my writings. Yes. Did you know that in Savannah, Georgia, I'm going to read this little clip out of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Savannah. Black Americans are more hesitant than whites to take the COVID vaccine. Reasons for that hit close to home in Savannah and include a classified military operation in the 1950s that dropped hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes that many believe were infected with diseases. And the name or title of that experiment by the U.S. government was called the Big Buzz Experiment. Did you know that? Did you know that they were experimenting on us? Specifically in the black community and in the poor communities. Did you know that? Let's go on. Thank y'all for tuning in. This Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Jamil Salib Zamir? What kind of name is that? Well, what kind of name is Jehovah Yahshua? That's the name of Jesus Christ. Yahshua, Jehovah. See, we think everything actually started in America. America is not that old of a country, but we think everything started in America with English. English is a bastard, and this is not profanity. English is a bastard language. It's pieces of different languages put together to make a language. That's why the words can cast spells. Let's go to Daniel 3, Daniel 5 and 3. After Belshazzar, the son of Nebuchadnezzar, uh Nebuchadnezzar stole, robbed, and got ill-gotten gains. Belshazzar had princesses. You know how we like to call each other queen, hey queen, hey queen, hey king, had wives, had concubines, and they were drinking out of these stolen chalices and such from other people. Now let's go to 3. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temples of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wife and his concubine drank out of them too. They were making jokes about the church, the real church. They were making jokes about God, the real God. They were mocking God. The book says God is not mocked. He's going to get his revenge. But the thing about God is, and it's not even revenge, he's going to prove that he is God. But the thing about the universal God is this: he utilizes what is present. He never comes and does it. He utilizes what is present in order to get the job done. Anybody can get touched. Anybody. And God will use your right-hand man to blow your brains out because you got too cocky. This is where we are. You'll see in a few days. Not a prediction from me. I can see the handwriting on the wall. Some of you can too. Some of you are very in tune with God. Some of us are, and some of us have mixed up our tuning with our own personal opinions, and that's damaging to the message. Any message that comes from God is disturbing because it requires that we change something. And I don't like to talk about it until I've changed, by God's permission, myself. So here is Belshazzar making jokes about the gods. You know, all of the 5%ers now in the nations of gods in the earth, everybody want more than one wife now. So we just want to have a bunch of sex. We are sex addicts. And that's not a good thing. Because if you don't understand the power of sex, the majesty of it, the magic of it, the abracadabra of it, the Bismillah ir-Rahman ir-Rahim, in the name of God of it, then you are reversing the process of sex and making it something filthy. Let's move on. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold. Sound familiar? We wear the Last Supper in gold around our necks, not even good gold, just gold, some remnants of gold. We wear the cross in gold. They drank wine. We drank and they praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. We're in a period of time where we're praising things more than substance and people. I had a conversation with an older lady on yesterday. Very intelligent lady, very knowledgeable. But I realized that she wasn't sharing knowledge. She was trying to prove to everyone that she knew more than everyone else. So as she's talking, I looked at my watch, and there are people who can bear witness to what I did. And she said, one more thing. And I said, well, how long is this one more thing going to take? She turns to me and says, well, I'm trying to give you information. I'm trying to help you. I said, you're not helping me. I said, because the information that you've given is too much, too fast. And we haven't done anything with the first piece of information you gave us, and you've given us a 12th piece of information. You're doing this for your own grandiose purpose. How long is it going to take? So I find that preachers and, you're up there preaching because you're trying to prove that you got some tight relationship with God. And in the midst of your message, you subtly say, we all got to pass because we know what you've been about. But now you act like after 30, 40, 50 years of raising hell, in 1 year, you the closest thing that God ever knew. Come on now. I'm telling you, be weary of ministers and the ministry. If they are of value, respect them and help them grow. But watch their words and how they speak. Because the handwriting on the wall says that we are in a time of revelation. And each message should be like this one, and better than this, and more thorough than this, but warning the people of what is to come, and what has happened, so that we'll understand the magnitude of the wickedness of Satan. So I did tell you that they released mosquitoes, right? And tested them on innocent people in Savannah. And after it was found out, they said, oh, nah, them mosquitoes, nah, they wasn't infected. We were just trying some stuff out. Well, check, that was in let me look at my notes real quick. We 21 minutes in. That was in the 1950s. But check this out. I got an article here. And I'm hoping I can share the screen with you. I'm gonna try so you see that I'm not jiving with you. Yeah. I'm gonna allow it. So I want you to see this. Check this out. This article, 750 million genetically engineered mosquitoes approved for release in the Florida Keys. They've already been released. Genetically modified male mosquitoes named 0x5034 has received both state and federal approval to be released in the Florida Keys now through 2022. Against the objection of many local residents and a coalition of environmental advocacy groups, it's going to happen anyway. Now, let me tell you something about how this world works. And this is why I'm talking about the handwriting on the wall today. This world plans things 10 years in advance. Satan does that. Satan planned things 50, 100 years in advance. By the time it gets to us, it's already into law. It's already in place. It's already executed. It's already being manifest. And there's nothing we can do about it. There's only two ways you can stop something that Satan brings into play. And most of us don't have the courage or the heart to do it. I mean, we can shoot up the neighborhood and kill babies and beat up people, beat them half to death. But we ain't got the heart to stand up against Satan. So in 1950, mosquitoes were released, and in 2022, mosquitoes were released. I wanted to put that to your attention. This is how the roller coaster is going to be. Let's go to 6. No, let's go to 5. Daniel 5:5. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed. That means his whole mood changed. He was happy. He was in his belly. He was in the mood. But then when he saw that, he got afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for us, because I'm afraid that we're partying so hard. We're never going to be prepared for what is to come. I need y'all to hear me when I'm talking to you. This is not a game. This ain't no backyard cookout. This ain't none of that. This is real for real. The king saw the handwriting on the wall, and his countenance fell. When people in authority realize that there's something bigger than them, their countenance falls. They become afraid. We rely on people in positions of power to take care of us, but if they are evil people and know that they are wicked and their countenance falls, who are we going to rely on then? See, there are things that are going on right now that I can't even talk about right now because it'll get me in a bad way. But we so busy partying, everything. But the handwriting is engraved deep into the atmosphere. And the handwriting is saying something, and then we're going to close. So the king countenance falls. Then the king countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose. He got so scared that his knees started to buckle. Because he realized, I'm the king, I'm the best, but this thing is bigger and better than I am. I'm saying something without saying it, and I need you to listen to it and hear it, because it's the only way I can say it. Said, then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose, and his knees smote against one another. Knees started knocking. The king cried out aloud to bring in all of his magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers that spake in tongues, the wise men, the Babylonians. Whosoever could read the writing, he wanted to be able to interpret it. But none of them could do it. None of them. Now, I want you to look at your leadership, political, gang, religious, and I want you to see them in the proper light. They have no power unless God gives it to them. They have no power of prophecy. They have no power of speaking in no kind of tongue. This is all like a party. It's like a game. Because most of them go home miserable. But they come and tell you a fairy tale to get you excited. This is not a jab at people or religious leaders or political leaders or anybody. But this is how it's got to be said. In order for us to comprehend that the people you rely on don't have the connection with God that you think. So what, they got a bunch of money? So what, they got muscles and in good health? I know some devils that got good health. I know some people that sold drugs and killed people that got money. You know some too. We can't, the litmus test for God's closeness cannot be wealth and things. Daniel, let's move on. Say, did they show y'all any pictures of the Canadian fires that did they have it on any major news? So I mean, not just a little fire. I'm talking about all of these thousands of acres. Did they show a helicopter view of all of this stuff with this smoke coming supposedly from Canada all the way to blacking out New York, all the way to South Carolina? Did anybody see any actual video footage of not a little wildfire, but a fire big enough to come from Canada, the smoke, all the way to the U.S.? I'm asking because California wildfires get pretty rough, but none of the smoke ever came from California to New York. We had a smoke advisory today because they said the smoke is coming from Canada. Before I go on, I want to show you this real quick. I told you I was going to add in some stuff, right? Well, let me add this in real quick. Canadian wildfire smoke spread hazardous air in the U.S. Air pollution alert, where issues across the United States due to smoke from wildfire that has burned and is burning in Canada. Look at the Empire State Building with its 7 points on it, crown, and the fire in the right hand. Smoke from Canada wildfire pours into the U.S. East Coast and Midwest on Wednesday, covering the capital. But I want to get to something real quick because I want, and here's a lady running a doll. The doll looked like he about to black out. But I wanted to get to something if I can find it. Lord, please let me find it. I thought I had really put all this stuff into perspective. Where's the smoke coming from? They say that it has burned more than 420 fires nationwide. But where's the smoke coming from? On top of that, I had an article and I can't find it. I thought this was it. But it was telling what smoke does to the body, how viruses and germs are carried in smoke, how the heat preserves the germs and carry the germs from one state to another, like that other thing that went all the way from supposedly from China all the way to America. You know, what I'm telling you is Bill Gates says that by the year 2025, there will probably be another major pandemic. Probably, maybe. We're being experimented on. Everything is being crossbred to change the genetics of it and make it something else. When you buy a watermelon with no seeds in it, that watermelon was not allowed to lay down with the male watermelon wasn't allowed to lay down with the female watermelon. And after about 3 different litters of watermelons, there's no longer a seed in the watermelon. So the watermelon is literally just a female watermelon. With marijuana, they used to have seeds in it. Then they started separating the male and the female, and there are no more seeds, just bud. That's genetic modification. And the genetics is changing the minds of the bananas. If you're not getting the bananas are supposed to have black seeds in them. But everything is being genetically modified. They're genetically preparing meat now and calling it meat, but it's not meat. Had to put that in there. I told you I was going to drop a jewel or two. I want you to understand, by God's permission, like with Belshazzar and Nebuchadnezzar, you're so busy partying and enjoying your life that you don't think about the future or the children that you brought into the world. And no matter what you teach them, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you keep them from, the frequency of the rejection of God's law is in the universal law now. So things are just coming into their mind like osmosis, organically. I don't want to be a girl no more. I'm a boy. I don't want to be a boy no more. I'm a girl. And you can't take that out of their mind. Now, there was a time when homosexuality was just that. I know some men who I consider friends who are homosexuals, but they were that before it became popular. And they're not flaunting it. You don't flaunt it. You just that. But all of a sudden now people want a badge or a award or something for being gay. Let's go on into Daniel. I'm relating the book to now and to the past and to what's happening, because I want you to see this. Then came all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. That's Daniel 8. Daniel 9. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lord was astounded. His lords were astounded. I said his lords were astounded. Now the queen, by reason of words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet hall, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. See, that's this new woman that we call queen. She is against God's law. She is against anything that man can't do for himself. Hey, don't worry about that handwriting on the wall. Yeah, it appeared. No, you can't understand it, but don't be troubled. You the king. That's the queen talking. That's the queen of this world that we label as queen. Oh, dusty, disrespectful, nasty mouth, artificial woman that we call queen. Nothing of queen status, if you understand what it is. But we give her that title, and she gives up her body, her vagina, her sex, everything. But she a queen. See how the world has been turned upside down? Everything that God gave us, she disapproves of and changes. Her nails, her eyes, her hair, her butt, her face. Alters everything, but she a queen. Somebody got to say it. Okay, so this queen comes and tells him, hey, man, don't worry about God, man. God is a sucker. That's what she said. She called God a sucker. All right. I did tell y'all that wildfire is spreading disease and it keeps germs alive, right? All right, let's go on. We almost done. We're 37 minutes in. 11, Daniel 11. There is a man in the kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. Today we're dealing with magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, soothsayers. They're masters at it. They get loans and grants and services from other sources and keep it for themselves and make you think they're blessed, but you could have been blessed too. But they didn't tell you that the service was available. So they hold on to it because they are power hungry. You ever seen some people just got too much stuff? For as much as an excellent spirit, this is 12, and knowledge and understanding, interpretation of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, who the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show you the interpretation. So now here's the man's father put Daniel in jail. Now the man need Daniel. Keep in mind that jail is not a prison. Jail is when you are ostracized from the people of power. You're in jail. And they don't let you speak. They don't allow, people want me to be down with them, white and black. But the first requirement is that I stop talking like this. Don't talk about God. There was a lady who wanted to give me my own syndicated radio show, as sure as God is my witness. And she told me, don't change a thing. And as I did my first promo, well, just don't talk about God so much. Second promo, well, be a little more laid. By the time we were finished, I didn't know who I was. So I rejected the contract. The lady ran me down for months. It's a true story. And her comment to me was, don't you want to make money? Don't you? That's what we're talking about here. 16. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubt. Now, if thou can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. But check out what Daniel said. Check this out. Daniel says, 17. Then Daniel answers and says before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king and make known to him the interpretation. Everybody can't be bought. So far, by God's permission, I can't be bought with no friendship, with no nearness to nobody who got something. None of that. I see, by God's permission, the complete handwriting on the wall. And I know most people that you hang around don't do nothing for you, but give you a false sense of a good time. They don't give you nothing. They don't back you up when you're in trouble. They don't give you good advice. They don't stop you from making mistakes, but they right in the corner, allowing somebody to talk about you as they keep their mouth shut. And then they'll come back to you and act like they defended you. Liars. But happy to be a liar. So Daniel, tell now you keep your stuff. We're going to move along a little faster. You can read it for yourself. But Daniel read the writing on the wall, and the writing, it was 4 words. And 24 says, then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. 25 says, and this is the writing that was written. Many, 1, many, 2, M-E-N-E, M-E-N-E, tekel, T-E-K-E-L, and upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing many, says Daniel. God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. See, we think that the money has its place. And certainly with money, we can do a lot of the things we desire to do. But money has its place. It is not the author. It is not the God. In most cases, it is the root of all evil. The handwriting is on the wall. I'm going to close with something. Pay attention. This is the interpretation of it. Many, God had numbered thy kingdom and finished it. So the money has an interpretation in it. In fact, on every dollar bill, there's a secret message in it. I won't go into it, but you can find owls and all kind of writing all over the money. If you fold it right, you see dates and times and all kinds of stuff. You can even see a black man on the $2 bill sitting in the room as the Constitution is being written. You Masons know that. The second word was tekel. Daniel told Belshazzar, tekel is that thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. To all of those who think that I know I'm saved because you go to church every Sunday, you at every gospel show, but what do you know? What do you know? What do you manifest from what you know or what you've learned from all of these gospel shows? Are you a better person? Or do you just hang with certain people who act like you act? And then when you get called out for your character, you're on the internet talking about how people need to change their ways. Change your ways. The very first thing I do when I'm in a conflict with someone is check myself. Thank God for that. Then I check myself again. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm sticking to my guns. If I'm wrong, I'm still going to get my point across. Win or lose. Handwriting is on the wall. Your pastors and ministers can tune into entertainment frequencies. And they can tell these messages that are so entertaining. And one time I was walking and I tripped, and tripping is God's way of saying trip. Just anything that's entertaining. but what value does it have? In 2023, we're talking God's value. God is not a game. God is not a joke. God is not privy to one or two people. He wants everybody. Found wanting. And then PRES, thy kingdom is divided and given to Medes and Persia. We are in a time of division, and I'm closing on this. Separating the wheat from the tare, sheeps from the goats or whatever. And if you know anything about separation, it's painful. Father against son, mother against daughter, vice versa, children, siblings fighting. It's horrible. But this is where we are. And we're not facing the reality of where we are. And Satan knows where we are. But he knows that the moment we know, God is coming. So Satan's job is to keep us entertained. Because as long as we're entertained and we feel like we're good, we'll never call on God the right way. Never. Do you know there are people out there who claim they want to stop doing drugs, but they never ask God the right way because they really don't want to stop? I want to change, but I ain't going to stop doing this now. PERES, thy kingdom is divided and given to Medes and Persia. The kingdom is being divided. And before I close, I want to point something out to you. A gentleman came to a meeting I was at on yesterday, and he was telling us about all the finances that certain groups had come through Manning and Clarendon County with to help minority groups do more, to help minority groups get out of the mud, because we don't even know we're in the mud. See, if you put cake in the mud, we'll say we having a cake mud fight instead of saying, oh, my cake is dirty. See, whatever we do, we make it funny. When we are alcoholics, we make jokes out of liquor. When we're weed heads, we post up a lot of weed. When we're perverts and sex addicts, we post up a lot of naked pictures. We justify our weakness. And in doing so, God leaves. In fact, he does not leave, he stands still. And we leave. So the world is about to receive a shock. I'm not a prophet or anything like that, so I can't say when, but it's going to be very shocking. Did you know that a black man murdered 4 white people in Atlanta this weekend? And he was murdered by the police. So we'll never know why he did what he did. Black folks were never really ever mass murderers, but we're becoming mass murderers. The gentleman looked like he may have had mental issues, or maybe not. I don't know. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to be careful at large events, because the evil that are at those events will not discriminate against someone who just came to have a good time. If you've ever been at one of our events, we always hire security, but I'm security too, and my son as well. I'm responsible for you. So I'm always outside of the perimeter, like I'm responsible for my life and my family. The handwriting is on the wall. How you going to go up in a church and close the door without security in 2023? All the men up front clapping their hands. Where's the security for the women and the children? How you going to be at an event? No security. How you going to be in a club with your boys and all y'all drunk? No security. The handwriting is on the wall. The actions are now producing equal and opposite reactions. And they're going to come as quick as I say it. Not because I said it, but because this is what God has given me. I'm closing now. With 50 minutes in, 10 minutes. Did you know that Belshazzar was killed that same night? When the message came, Belshazzar was murdered, and according to the book of Daniel. This is how quick the people you look up to will be slaughtered in 2022 and 2023 and 2024. They got to die because there are too many gods, too many lords. The minute we get a little piece of a message, we leaving the church we've been a part, talking about God called me. There are too many leaders, too many talkers. Everybody saying the same thing and nothing getting done. Do you know that every person that is available to give you information is teaching you how to survive in this world only? All of your preachers are teaching you how to survive here. All of your financials here. All of your business and sports here. But the Bible, if we believe it, says, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by renewing of your mind. And renewing the mind is the most difficult thing we will ever go through. It is the real exorcism. Because you got to fight generations of wrongdoing, wrong direction, to try to correct enough that the next generation will build off of your corrections, and eventually there'll be a heaven on earth. I told you about the leaders in closing. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln went to all of the elite black people and suggested to them that he would free all of the slaves to go to Barbados or Jamaica or anywhere else but America, that he would free them? This is fact. And do you know that our elite preachers and pastors said, no, we want to stay. No matter how y'all treating us, y'all will start treating us better soon. It's fact. Let me get this up on the board for you real quick in closing, man. I'm serious. How Abraham Lincoln struggled to return slaves to Africa. This is an article in the Washington Times. On August 14th, 1862, in what may have been the first time a black majority meeting was held at the White House, President Abraham Lincoln welcomed a committee of free black ministers to discuss a proposition he was considering. He informed them that Congress had appropriated money for the purpose of aiding the colonization in some country of the people or a portion of them of African descent. Lincoln wanted the black ministers to help him sell the plan to black people. We'll let y'all go. The great emancipated wanted Americans of color emancipated to another country. Surprisingly, this wasn't the first time such an idea had happened. It had happened again in 1863. No, I'm sorry. That's not when it happened. Yeah, it happened again under another form of leadership. And our black elite rejected it. See, when a person gets a little bit of money, I said this before, said it to my son. Our desire is not to be black and wealthy and free. Our desire, most of us, is to be the new white man. Our desire is to treat people beneath us as we were treated. The handwriting is on the wall. All of this is about to come to free. You see it happening in Clarendon County right now. They juggling the school system like they doing whatever they want to do when they want to do it. Mostly black people. And if you don't go along with what they doing, they get mad and don't talk to you no more. These are intelligent people now that stop talking. I ain't talking to him. He disagreed with me. They want to take away your freedom because they think they have a right to. But they'll show up, some of these vendor trucks and stuff, at your event where crime and murder and death is happening just to take your money, and you allow it. There's going to come a day where those wicked people will be afraid to step foot where righteous black folks are having an event for fear that they will be exposed. But right now, they ain't scared of you. They don't respect you or me. There is nobody talking like this, and they won't talk like this because either they want your friendship, your attention, your participation, or your money. I just about done had to cut loose all of the so-called friends I thought I had. They think I'm a joke. They think they can play over me like I'm some toy. And it brings them pleasure to lie and then figure I'm going to come back to them. I'm the sucker. Brings them pleasure to sit around all day and mastermind how to get over on somebody trying to do the right. Don't share nothing I do. Don't talk about nothing I do. And I'm not the only one. I'm not crying foul like I'm special. I'm not special. But the handwriting is on the wall. And in closing, everyone that can see it, your job as a watchman, it's in the Bible, is to watch over the people. And once you tell them what's happening, if they don't believe what you said, the blood is on them. But if you keep your mouth shut and don't tell them and something happens to them, the blood is on you. All of these events coming up, please be careful. We are partying too much at church events. I mean, just gospel fest all week. Let's start teaching God's word and letting people talk back and ask questions. Thank you for tuning in. I told you, by God's permission, 1 hour. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. I think I'm going to close out with something if I can. And I will. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong. Took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone. And then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone. Solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.